So I'm going to talk about modeling the past, recent projects of the Virtual World Heritage Laboratory at the University of Virginia. And I just want to start by saying that the term Virtual World Heritage Laboratory is a sort of pun. It can be understood in two different ways. We're very interested, as you will see, in virtual worlds. So that can explain the presence of those two words next to each other. But we're also interested in virtualizing world heritage. The mission of our lab is to study the ways in which the new 3D digital technologies can be used by humanists in their teaching and especially in their research. Why are we doing this? Why are we making models? Is it because we're hobbyists and we like to make models? I did like to make models when I was a boy, I have to admit. But it was nice to read this book and get a good excuse for doing that activity. But seriously, there is an information scientist, an American information scientist named Colin Ware, who's written this very useful book called Information Visualization, which is now in its third edition. It just came out in its third edition, published originally about 10 years ago. And Professor Ware begins by giving four general reasons why a visualization like a 3D model of an cultural heritage artifact is useful thing to have. First, obviously, it facilitates understanding. That is, it's good for education. And I think that should be fairly obvious if you don't know anything about ancient Rome and you take a look at our video on Vimeo or YouTube, flying you through ancient Rome and giving you little titles telling you what you're looking at. You look at that a few times, it only takes 5 minutes. You'll know probably more about ancient Rome. At least you'll have a better visual idea of it than probably most graduate students of archaeology had, say, 20 years ago, certainly than I had. The most crucial is enabling experiences and experiments that would be impossible short of time travel, which physicists tell me is theoretically possible, but unfortunately not practical today, or rebuilding the thing. And even if you rebuild a lot of these things, as we'll see with, for example, celestial alignments between a building or a statue and the sun, the moon, something like that. The farther back we go in time, the more off the heavens are today with respect to the way they were in antiquity. And so the only way you're ever going to get that alignment back is through a computer simulation. When the object that interests us exists and is very well preserved, we can make a kind of 3D photocopy of it. And in that case, we talk about doing 3D data capture. Sometimes we use a term laser scanning, which you have perhaps heard. But it's important to know that in capturing the 3D data of an object, you don't always use a laser. Sometimes you use just plain old ordinary light. What happens when the object, though, doesn't exist? And that, unfortunately, is all too often the case in my field of ancient studies of the classical world, classical archaeology. It doesn't exist because it's been damaged, or perhaps it's been demolished or lost. And at most we have literary records about it. Perhaps we have 2D illustrations of it in a different format, like a coin in the case of a Roman building. What do we do then? Well, we can't do a 3D photocopy, obviously, because there's nothing to photocopy. So we have to put all of these sources together, whether they're visual or literary or historic, and we have to use software on the computer that, say, an architect might use today to make a new building, to build up the building, the lost building or cultural heritage artifact. It doesn't have to be a building, it could be a statue or a vase or anything of interest, to build it up using software. And we call that hand modeling. We define a set of rules that the people in the culture in question actually developed and used and applied, and styles of design, of architecture. And we make procedures, which we teach the computer to simulate. And we tell the computer, okay, here's the terrain, here are the rules, fill it up with dwellings that are appropriate to the time and place. And we call that procedural modeling. So what we wanted to do in the Hadrians Villa project was populate Hadrians Villa with as many statues as we possibly could, because Hadrians Villa has given us over 150 statues with definite provenience from the villa that are in museums all over Europe and North America. And we wanted to put them back into the villa model, which is a restoration model, and I'll be talking about the overall model later on, to look the way they looked in Hadrian's day, which means that they were white marble, they were almost certainly painted, as we now know and appreciate more than ever. In any case, here we see the Toga Pride model, and I'll just show you Caligula's face here in more detail. One of the nice things about this software is we can change the lighting, which can be very useful if you're looking at, say, an inscription. Now what we want to do, Matt, are you there? Uh-oh. Are you there, Matt?
Yes, I'm here, Bernie.
Oh, you are? Okay, good. So now we want to actually demo the game engine and show you how this problem-based learning works, where I will pretend to be a student, and Matt, who made the model and is in Charlottesville, Virginia, in our lab right now, will be the other player or student. So I'm Hadrian, and Matt is Aristeas, and we can greet each other.
Greetings, Emperor.
Thank you. We can talk to each other. We could also text if we wanted to. I won't bother. You can follow in our footsteps. You can challenge our reconstruction, have your own ideas, but at least you can understand why you're seeing what you're seeing. Okay, Aristeas, where should we go to see my centaurs?
The centaurs have been placed in this courtyard.
Okay, I'll follow you over there. Ah, there they are. I can start to see them. And did we make them with chisels and everything, or did we use catch?
Chisels, of course.
Ah, chisel. Okay. We don't have catch yet, do we? So we can go and walk around and see these things from all sides. And this is where they were really found, archaeologically. I should say, not to Aristeas, he wouldn't know that, but they were found by Furietti in the 18th century. They were actually found right here. We know that for a fact. So we're able to recontextualize them. Okay, thank you very much, Aristeas. Do you want to tell us anything else? What's your next project? Take a few days off, I think. You've done a lot of work here. Thank you and goodbye.
Bye, Adrian.
It's good to be emperor.
It's good to be the emperor, as Milberg said, yes.